gone through, we've created all the changes for our ePub, and now it is time to export it as an ePub. You've done multiple tests so far. It functions well. Your table of contents is set up properly. Your internal table of contents is functioning properly. The table of contents inside your ePub is functioning properly. Now we can go through and we can create our final ePub. And I've gone through this multiple times within the tutorials, but I'll go through it again, and just to kind of double check a couple things when we're going through to create our final PDF is making sure that your table of contents file is selected as your source file. Okay, this is very important to make sure that your ePub and your table of contents functions properly. Okay, so select that, make sure that's set up as your source file. Again, we can go to our drop-down menu over here on the right-hand side of our book panel, and we can go to export PDF or export book to ePub. Okay, let's just select that. And I'm going to save it in a folder. Actually, no, I'm not going to save it in a folder. I'm just going to save it again out in with my actual book document. Okay, sorry about that. You're going to want to make sure that your ePub is a reflowable ePub. Okay, we've talked about that throughout the tutorials. You're going to want to be able to resize your text, change the color of your background, and a reflowable ePub will allow you to do that. Just going to save. And again, just test your document before you submit. Let's go over our settings. So in our general tab, you have your version for your ePub. Okay, you will have the option to do 2.0.1 or 3.0. Our document doesn't have anything in it that would make us choose a 3.0 version. Okay, so we want our ePub to be as available to all the ePubs or to all the readers and everything like that. So a lower version will be more widely accepted for readers. So this is what we're going to use. We're going to use the 2.0.1 version. Cover, we're going to make sure that we choose our cover art. Okay, and that's going to be the one that we set up originally. Remember, I picked a folder, called it Final Cover, and I've picked it from there. So we've set that up. We've also set up our navigation for our table of contents. So instead of the file name, we've picked a multi-level table of contents style, and then we have to pick the table of contents that we created. So that's the style that we created. That's the one that we're going to keep in our TOC style. Our content, the order is going to be based on our page layout. And remember, we are splitting our document, and we set up our export option tags and indicated where we wanted our paragraph style to break. Okay. If you haven't set that up where you want your paragraph to split or where you want your document to split, you can do it here based off of a style. In my case, it would be my chapter title because that's where I would want my ePub to break when I export it. Again, we don't want our e-reader to have to load a 400-page document, so it breaks it into smaller sections so it's easier for the e-reader to load. And again, I'm basing mine off my chapter titles, okay, because this is the beginning of my chapter, so I would select chapter title. Again, I've already set mine up, so I'm going to base mine off of my paragraph style export tags. Text, we're going to keep our basic default settings here, okay? If you have any forced line breaks, you can go in and remove it. If you've noticed that your text just doesn't flow properly throughout your ePubs, if you have large gaps, and text doesn't sit where it's supposed to, you can remove your forced line breaks. Okay, usually we use the forced line breaks. Let's say if you want your text in your printed document to be separated a certain way, so your rag on the right hand side sits nicer, we'll usually do like a forced line break. Again, this is irrelevant in an ePub, so you can just select that. Footnotes, we don't have any footnotes in ours, but if you do, you can choose to put them at the end of the section. Usually we don't see them at the end of the paragraph. The end of the section would be the best place for those. Lists, we're going to, again, just keep it as the default section because we don't want to convert this to text. We're going to just keep it as it is. Okay, objects, again, default settings for these, we're going to keep them as is. Look at our conversion settings, okay, and we're leaving it, our format, to automatic. And we're also leaving the resolution at 150. The JPEG options, we'll go through and just convert anything, any JPEGs that we have. For the most part, we don't have many. It may just be your front cover that's embedded into the front of your book. HTML and CSS styles. Okay, so we've gone through and we set up our HTML for all of our styles. So we're going to include our classes in HTML, and we're going to leave these settings as is. JavaScript, we're going to leave as is. The metadata, remember to update your metadata. This, if you don't change your title in the reader, your title is going to show up as your book document. Okay, so I'm going to create my document. We don't need to change the identifier. Each ePub will be given a unique identifier, and we're not going to change these or edit these. Creator, I can put all of our information in there. Can put a description in if I want. Any rights or subjects or anything like that you can put in there. I'm going to leave my information just very simple for right now. Viewing apps, you can actually even add applications. Remember, our system default is books, and that's what we want. That's what I'm going to be viewing your ePubs in, so we want our system default to be the books app. Let's go okay. There was an issue with my cover, so again I can go in and change that. That was the object export option. Okay, so just go in and make sure that your text, again, is reflowable. This is one of the big ones that I'm going to be looking for, is making sure that your text can be resized. It can be increased and decreased, your backgrounds can be changed, and your type, your fonts can be changed. Another thing you're going to want to go in and do is you're just going to want to go in and increase and decrease the your window. Your text will flow differently when you increase and decrease the window. So we just want to make sure that our text is actually reflowing. Double check that your table of contents work. And that your text sits the way you've intended it to sit. Okay, so if I'm happy with this, I would go through and make sure that everything is in my folder to be packaged, I'd go through and package my InDesign document. Again, make sure that no errors come up, and if you do, try to get rid of them before you actually submit your document. Okay, and again, to package your documents in your book panel, you're going to go down to package selected documents for print. Okay, so you're going to go through and you're going to select all of your text. Package your document for print. And make sure that your ePub is a part of this document. You probably just have to drag it over and copy it into your final folder. Okay, so I have a warning coming up here saying that one link was found and it uses RGB. We're okay with that because this is a digital file. We're going to package, and I can add a folder here. Okay, this is going to create a new folder, and we're going to keep all of our default settings selected. Please make sure that your IDML files are in there so they can be opened. You're also going to include a PDF and all of your links, fonts, and any graphics. Okay, so we're going to package those. And once you're done with packaging your document, you can just make sure that your ePub document is in the final folder, and then you can zip your file. Your file saved in week 11. Let's go in there. Okay, and I can save my document. Notice that a file will come up in here. There it should. Just want to make sure it was saved in the proper location. Okay, so I think it actually saved it in one of my old files. So I'm going to go in. There's my file. Okay, so it was just saved in the other week. So I have all of my packaged documents. Again, remember that your ePub, you need to save it in your working document, in your files. Okay, so I'm going to have my PDF, I'm going to have my InDesign book document, as well as my INDDs and my IDMLs, and your ePub's going to be in there. Okay, now you can compress or zip this file and you can submit it for grading.